Hello, today is November 12, 2020. My name is Miriam Cerda. I'm interviewing Berenice Sainz for the University Library Special Collections and Archives at the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley, hereafter abbreviated as UTRGV. This project is in partnership with the Voces Oral History Center at the University of Texas at Austin. Please know, Ms. Sainz, that this interview will be placed in the University Library Special Collections and Archives at UTRGV and shared with the Voces Oral History Center at the University of Texas at Austin. If there is anything you do not wish to answer or talk about, I will honor your wishes. Also, if there is something you want to talk about, please bring it up and we'll talk about it. The University Library Special Collections and Archives will archive your interview along with any other photographs or documentations you are willing to share. UTRGV University Library will retain copyright or non-exclusive right to the interview and any other materials you donate to Special Collections and Archives at UTRGV. Because we are not conducting this interview in person, I need to record you consenting to make sure you agree with our interview procedures before we continue. So I'll ask you a series of 6 questions. Please say, yes, I agree, or no, I do not agree after each question. Okay, do you give University Library Special Collections and Archives at UTRGV consent to archive your interview and your materials at the UTRGV University Library?
Yes, I agree.
Okay. Do you grant UTRGV University Library Special Collections and Archives right, title, and interest and copyright over the interview and any materials you provide?
Yes, I agree.
Do you agree to allow UTRGV University Library Special Collections and Archives to post this interview on the internet where it may be viewed by people around the world?
Yes, I agree.
And do you grant the University Library Special Collections and Archives consent to share your Zoom interview with the Voces Oral History Center at the University of Texas at Austin for inclusion in the Voces of a Pandemic Oral History mini project, which will include posting the interview on the internet?
Yes, I agree.
As you recall, we previously filled out a pre-interview form. We use information from the pre-interview form to help in research. The entire form is kept in a secure Voces server at the University of Texas at Austin. Before Voces sends it, UTRGV University Library Special Collections and Archives, we would have stripped out any contact information for yourself or family members. So that will not be a part of your public file. Your public file will only be accessible at UTRGV University Library. The final 2 questions ask for your consent on what I just described. Do you wish for us to share the rest of your interview in your public file available to researchers at UTRGV University Library Special Collections and Archives?
Yes, I agree.
Okay. And last question, on occasion, UTRGV Special Collections and Archives and Voces receive requests from journalists who wish to contact our interview subjects. We only deal with legitimate news outlets. Do you give consent for us to share your phone numbers or your email with journalists?
Yes, I agree.
Okay, thank you for your consent. Your experiences and stories mean a lot to us at UTRGV Special Collections and Archives. I look forward to what you say in interview questions I will now ask. Berenice, thank you for your time. Like I mentioned, your stories and experiences are valuable to us at UTRGV Special Collections and Archives and the Voces Project. Particularly for us at UTRGV Special Collections, we are committed to preserving the stories of Mexican Americans and Latinos from South Texas and the Rio Grande Valley, and those who work closely with these populations during this COVID-19 pandemic. Because you are a middle school teacher who cares for the physical safety and mental well-being of her students in the community of Harlingen, Texas, and because you are a daughter, sister, wife, and friend who is knowledgeable of the ways COVID-19 has affected others in her inner circle, I know you have many meaningful stories and experiences to share on how COVID-19 has impacted these roles you carry out in your life. So before I ask you to share stories about your life in this pandemic, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Berenice Sainz?
Well, I'm a teacher. I am a daughter of Mexican citizens that came to the U.S. in her, teenage years. And I love music, languages, culture, traveling. Um, I believe I'm a very patient person, quiet, and I'm sorry, I'm getting emails from students. um, and I love music, and I am a teacher of music as well. And yeah, I mean, I don't know what else.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. Okay, so so the first question I want to ask you is, when did you first hear about COVID-19 and how did you learn about it?
So I learned about it in December. I actually, with my English class students, we read an article. And at that point, it was in China. So the article was analyzing what COVID was, where it came from, where it originated, um, the symptoms, and what China was doing to deal with it. And at that point, we actually made we were analyzing the article. My students were reading informational articles. And so it seemed far away. It seemed like I actually told my students, I don't think it's gonna get here when they were like, oh, let's start planning for that. I was like, no, it's gonna be all right. So at that point it seemed far away, but it was funny that we analyzed it in class, and it helped me and my students actually get informed about it before I even started to get overseas over here. So that was the first time I heard about it, when I picked this article so my students would read about it in class.
Yeah, and you didn't imagine we'd be here.
No, I didn't. I thought it was so far away. I was like, nah, it's not gonna get here. But yeah.
And
It
what
did.
was your first reaction to the information about COVID-19?
My first reaction to that, like, first encounter with the information, or when it actually got here?
I guess like when you're more informed about it, and I guess you realize its impact that it could have.
So we're in January. Well, my first reaction was to go buy Lysol and Clorox towels. That was my first reaction. Um, and yeah, it was just, okay, let's start considering masks and taking precautions. What precautions am I going to take? Are we as a family going to take? That was my first reaction. It was like, okay, let's just start taking precautions in case. Yeah.
Okay. And at what point did you realize this pandemic was a serious life-altering event?
Well, when we got an email that we were not going back to work at school, that was when, okay, then this is a serious threat. And it didn't seem real at the time, but it was like, okay, if they're taking it seriously, we have to start taking it more seriously.
Yeah. And over the last few months, what news media, social media, or other sources do you rely on to keep you informed about coronavirus?
Well, different sources of news, like um, we listen to the news, like CNN and Fox, like all different sources. So we are aware of the different points, perspectives shared. And so news, medical articles that are out there, just more popularized. Doctors' opinions as well, doctors that share their knowledge about it, doctors that are actually working on it. On social media, like I have several friends here in the US and in Mexico that are doctors, and also like sharing their media, what precautions to take, what's going on at their workplace as well. So social media news and also like articles. What's it called? Like the Times. I don't remember right now. But yeah, also articles. It's just we have different subscriptions, so
Yeah.
right now. Yeah.
Can you share with me what you understand about COVID-19 as an infectious disease? Likewise, can you share with me what you don't understand about this new coronavirus?
What I understand and what I don't?
Yes.
Okay. What I understand is that it's a disease that is contagious by airborne. So by being close to a person that either by saliva or by like sneezing can get you sick. Like a cold, like kind of compare it to like a cold. If you get too close to a person or touch whatever they touch, it's sort of contagious. What something I don't understand about it, I don't understand how it does affect some people and not others, even though we're in the same family, same blood type, same precautions, how it hits some people and not others. I guess that would be one of my things that I don't understand.
And would you take the first COVID-19 vaccine available on the market? Why or why not?
I wouldn't, just because I personally, when I read about that vaccine, the polio vaccine, I think it was, I don't remember, it was like a specific vaccine like years ago, that some people got worse consequences from the vaccine than from the actual disease that it was preventing. I personally feel scared to even try it. So far, my precautions have gotten me not sick. So I rather rely on those precautions rather than fight it with it. But yeah, not the first vaccine, definitely. I would wait a little bit.
Yeah. And does your family hold the same beliefs as you about COVID-19, or are there some members who take it more seriously or lightly?
Definitely, we all feel differently about it. It varies. If there is a pattern that I have noticed is that like the younger or closer to my age, people in my family are taking it more seriously, and the older people are not. That might be a little bit opposite to what most people encounter, but yes, older people in my family are not really taking it that seriously, and the younger ones are. So definitely varies.
Okay. Okay, and for these next set of questions, I'd like to talk about how COVID-19 has impacted your everyday life from personal to professional. I'm interested to know what your social life was like before the coronavirus and how has it changed with this new normal?
Okay. Oh, that has changed a lot. So my social life was very active. I would meet with friends and go out to eat, go out to dance as well. And so it has definitely changed. We're not going out, not really meeting with friends at all. We're barely even meeting with our families. So it has changed in the way that it's just my husband and I. Really. I mean, we still have communication with our friends, of course, but everything is through social media or FaceTime and stuff like that. But social life is definitely, we're not going out to like social outings and social places. So that's how it has changed.
Changed a lot.
A lot.
Can you please share some stories about how the pandemic impacted any family gatherings or holiday celebrations?
Oh yeah, well, it impacted our wedding. Of course, we were planning on our wedding since last year, and we wanted a big party with all of our families and friends, and that definitely had to change. We didn't want to what's it called? Leave it until the next year. So we decided to just get married through like court and have a little gathering with our immediate family and with all the precautions we needed to take. And yeah, that would be like a big event that we had in our plans and definitely didn't happen as big.
Yeah, I actually have more to ask you about that, but we'll get to that a little later.
Okay.
Um, has your family returned to normal gatherings in the last few months?
No, my family has not gathered like before. No.
And you mentioned that you have family living in Matamoros, Mexico. Have you been able to visit them since the beginning of this pandemic?
Yes, I have. It's been hard. Like they had a lot of what's it called? Um like you cannot just cross to Mexico without a valid reason, without valid like documents. Um uh, like you need to be a Mexican citizen and all that to go. Fortunately, I have both citizenship, so I was able to go for some medications and to consult with doctors and and of course I take some groceries to my family, my grandparents and my parents. But it wasn't easy, and also the lines have been really crazy and long and slow. So there were definitely a lot of challenges to go, but I've been able to go not as much as before, very few times, but I have been able to anyways.
Mhm. And do you take any extra safety precautions when visiting, like around your family?
Yes, of course, we both wear our masks and we keep them on for the entire time that we're together. Um, we don't like have close contact with each other. Um, so we try to take as many precautions as we can. Yeah.
And did you notice any COVID-19 guidelines promoted and being followed in Matamoros and Mexico, such as social distancing and mask wearing?
Yes, yes, and even to go into like stores, any sort of store or place, you have to like step on these cleaning mats or they clean your shoes, and then you also have to get hand sanitizer as soon as you go into any place you're going in. Um, Definitely social distancing, masks, and yeah, same or even more precautions than many places over here. Yeah.
Mhm. And based on your experience and knowledge, how do you view the way Mexico handled the pandemic in parts like Matamoros in comparison to the US, specifically near the border, such as Hidalgo County?
Okay. Can you repeat that question again, please?
Yes. Based on your experience and knowledge, how do you view the way Mexico handled the pandemic in parts like Matamoros in comparison to the US, such as near Hidalgo County?
Okay, how they have been taking it. So, of course, both places have, if comparatively, they have taken it seriously. They have taken precautions. Um, like both have had curfews, closing bars, restaurants. Um, Opening up, I did notice that Mexico took a little bit longer to open up and to let people like gather at all. Um, they did take longer, way longer than over here. However, even though legally you couldn't gather, I would still notice, like on social media, that people I knew were still gathering and getting together. So it was still, a lot of people were not following the rules, the law.
Yeah.
So I want to say, even though the government took it seriously, the public itself wasn't really. They already like wanted to open up, and I understand the desperation of just, you know, starting to open up like places and all these things. So I don't know, it kind of, my opinion of it has fluctuated. It has changed, because at the beginning I was like, okay, they're taking it more seriously over there, but then later on it was better over here than over there. So it has just fluctuated, changed depending. And then right now that everything's starting to open again, it's been like kind of the same.
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Being that your both parents both work in the medical field, did it influence your take on the coronavirus in any way?
Yes, definitely. Like when I mentioned that, my first, when I first heard about it getting close to us, my precautions were like buying already stuff to prevent getting sick or contagious, like preventing the virus that is contagious. It was mostly because also my mom was pressuring that we need to take this seriously before I got here. When what was it? The influenza hit us a couple years ago. One of my sisters got sick, and we had taken all precautions. So my mom was like, we don't want that to happen again and all that. So definitely we were all informed, but my parents were taking it a little bit more seriously than even me at that time. So they definitely influenced in me taking the decisions of, okay, let's take the precautions and get whatever we might need. Even if we don't, it's better to have it. So they definitely influence on that reaction and on my opinion.
Okay, and how has the pandemic affected your parents' line of work in the medical field?
So definitely having less patients, less work. Well, at the beginning, when they were closing down, like there was like a curfew. They were working only from working, I don't know, 10 hours. They were working only like 6. So kind of cutting half the time of work for them. And I would say that that's how it was at the beginning. Right now, they're having more patients. They're seeing more patients. So I think it's picking up again. But that's mostly how.
Okay. And you mentioned that you had wedding and honeymoon plans prior to the new virus. You talked about what a little bit of the adjustments you and your partner had to make for the wedding because of the pandemic. Is there any more, if you could go more in detail about what other adjustments maybe you guys had to make?
Oh yeah. Besides the wedding, well, it's connected. So since we were not going to have our wedding, we decided to get a house, and that kind of adjusted our whole plan, but for the good. So yeah, we adjusted our plans to having a really small, fast wedding, and rather investing it in our future. And then what other adjustments have we made? Well, that was a whole other adventure, I want to say. It was a whole other adventure. It was like getting a house in the pandemic. It's just different from when you regularly get a house. And so also interest market. I don't know the exact term for it, but the interest was changing because of the same, it was being impacted by the COVID and all that, like people consuming, people buying houses. So it we had a good it went well for us, but it was more of a time of making fast decisions. It was definitely an adjustment in, okay, instead of taking your time to think about it, think about what you want, think about what you need, and it was definitely, okay, we have to make a decision fast before this thing changes. So I want to say that's kind of like how we had adjusted.
Mhm. And how did you feel or deal with the adjustment that you had to make?
Can you repeat that one again?
Yeah. How did you feel or deal with all the wedding adjustments and everything you had to make?
Well, it wasn't really a negative impact in me. I feel like I'm a very flexible person. I guess backpacking and traveling kind of prepares you for that. You have to be flexible. Whatever comes up, you have to deal with it and stuff like that. So, it wasn't bad or any negative a negative experience at all. Um, or I guess originally we always wanted like a small thing, but because of what's it called? Um, what's that word? I guess it felt like an obligation of like, okay, we need to share this moment, which is a really special moment with so many people that have shared their own moments with us. So I guess that social obligation is kind of there. And so that kind of got lifted away up from us. We honestly just wanted a smaller, very intimate ceremony and thing for us. So it worked out for the better for us. So I felt happy. I felt at peace. It wasn't really a negative experience at all. And in that aspect.
Yes. Okay, I'm glad that y'all were able to work it out good.
Yeah.
Do you have plans to redo the wedding when things are more normalized?
No, not really. No, it's a lot of money that I don't know. Now I wouldn't use it for a party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And in what ways did the pandemic make your special event, like your wedding, memorable?
Well, it was definitely an experience not to have everyone's faces out in the open because everyone had to wear a mask. So it's definitely a different set of pictures than normal weddings. Starting with that, everyone comes out with a mask. And then everyone had to be 6 feet apart. Everyone was like so far away, separated. Of course, for pictures, we kind of try to like be there, but as little time as possible, we would take with the pictures. And so I guess our memories in that stay in our pictures, like for any event in our life, are just gonna be very different. And so definitely we'll have questions, I guess, from our children or grandchildren. They're gonna be like, why were you wearing that at the party? So definitely a story to tell. And yeah, that's what I think is going to stay with us, those pictures.
Okay. And during your pre-interview, you mentioned you were part of a Black Lives Matter protest in the midst of the pandemic. How was your experience?
Well, it wasn't negative at all. I was expecting something like crazy, but since it happened at a small town, I guess it wasn't that many people as it could have been. So people were taking like their mask and taking like their own space. So it wasn't anything like disruptive, anything without precautions. So I had been at other events where before this were very different experience. But I thought it was pretty calm. I honestly expected worse. I expected it like, okay, there might be people without masks, or there might be people that don't care, don't take this seriously, or not respecting personal space, or as many feet apart as we could. But it was better than expected. I want to say that, yeah.
Good. Thank you for sharing with us about a little bit about your personal life. The next set of questions are going to be more geared towards your professional life. Can you tell me where you work and describe what your job involves?
Yeah, I work at a middle school in Harlingen, and I am a teacher. So my job description, I guess, would be teaching. I teach languages. I teach last year I taught English. This year I teach French and Spanish, and I teach basic Spanish to middle schoolers, and beginner to intermediate French to my students as well, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. I teach all the grades, and to be more specific, in my classroom, I incline towards being self-discovery learners, to have self-discovery learners where I don't give them the information. I don't like to lecture, so my students have to actually research information, and then they are the ones teaching other students or the rest of the class about it. And so it's project-based learning as well. And I love it because I don't teach. I guide the learning rather than just talking all the time every day. It's very student-centered, and I just love to be part of their lives in self-discovering the world and languages and other cultures.
You sound very passionate about it.
I do love it, and more so because you get to teach them about other cultures, and they get to compare it with their own culture. They don't even know what they have here sometimes until you learn about somewhere else.
Yeah. And how has your job changed since the pandemic? What new responsibilities did you have to take on?
Okay, so definitely changed at the beginning when we were not teaching in person. It was completely online. So to our normal responsibilities like teaching, of course, we get added communicating and teaching technology, not only our content, but also teaching how to work with a computer, how to work with the internet, how to work through it all through video like Zoom. And so you're not only teaching a content, but also how to work through it all, how to just survive through this. And well, of course, you're also like emotional support there for the kids. Like if anyone's going through anything, you of course have to be there, being patient and understanding and flexible. It has gradually changed to being back to the classroom, and to our responsibilities as well as managing a classroom. We also have in keeping everyone safe and apart, and with their mask on the whole time, and you know, having just the precautions in our own classroom, like cleaning the desks and all that. So yeah, I want to say that's a little summary of how it has changed.
Yeah. How was, actually, sorry. Can you share with me how your school district prepared teachers for going remote? Any special in-services or trainings?
Can you repeat that one?
Yes. Can you share with me how your school district prepared teachers for going remote? Any special in-services or trainings?
Yes, definitely. We had a lot of meetings, trainings as well. And I mean, they didn't really have titles, but it was a lot of meetings
Mhm.
to see how it was gonna work, to explain to us how it's gonna look, to like kind of like help us visualize it, and then plan for it as well. Like I did mention, it was a gradual thing, so it was like, okay, next week this is gonna happen. Like we would go week by week, basically. So they would share the plan with us to go ahead and let us know how it was going to be changing throughout, I don't know, the next month or so. And then that week they would inform us of what was happening next week, how we were going to, what we were going to do, how we were going to do it. And so just guiding us through it all, kind of like step by step. Every week we would have like, okay, next week this is happening and we're going to do this. And so throughout the meetings and the Zoom meetings, they would inform us of this and train us for it.
Can you share with me about your school district's COVID policies, what your school district policies are, and if you feel they are helpful for protecting teachers and students?
Yeah, of course. One of the main policies, of course, is to have the mask at all times. As soon as you enter the building, before you go in, you do have to fill a survey, just stating whether you have been close to a person that's been sick, or whether you yourself feel well or sick. And then depending on your answers, it either tells you to contact your admin or anything like that to prevent you from, going to work sick. Then it also explains the policies, and if you're aware of them, of course, you have to confirm. And then after that, part of our policies is also to stay 6 feet apart from other teachers, from our students. We also have the protective I don't know what to call it, like not plexiglass, but some plastics for our desks.
Yeah.
We also have hand sanitizer in every room, and students do have to put hand sanitizer before they leave your classroom and as they enter, just to prevent like from going, from classroom to classroom. And we also have like controlled when the students move from class to class, very minimal numbers of students actually in the campus. And I feel like I'm forgetting something else, but I cannot remember right now. Yeah, I mean, those are the main ones that I can remember out of my head. Yeah.
And do you feel that they're helpful for protecting teachers and students?
Yes, they are. If we follow them correctly, they are.
Okay. And how do you feel about all the new changes?
Well, it was scary at first, but definitely kind of encouraging in various areas, like technology wise. I felt like it was a little bit overwhelming, but it was definitely good to learn more things that you can do, kind of like broadening our options for teaching and learning. It's just there's so many things out there that already existed, and you're not informed. You kind of get closed on, okay, this is what works with me, with my students, and kind of closed off to other options. So it forcefully opened us to try new things, which ultimately is good. And it definitely tried our adapting capability. We have to adapt. We had to learn new things. We had to adapt to what we can do, not relying on our, habits or things that we already felt confident, secure in. So it has been a whole experience, just learning new things and trying them out and failing at some, but also learning new things that are working. So
Yeah. And you mentioned in your pre-interview that your husband is also a teacher. How would you say he is handling the new way of teaching?
Well, as well, of course, the first week of transition was hard on all of us. But I feel like he's been doing well, adapting well too. Definitely in many areas less stressful. Um, uh, because technically the number of students in the actual classroom is so minimal, so many less than normal. So uh, that definitely lessens a little bit your stress levels than normal, because you have to. Somewhere we read that teachers are is one of the professions, in teaching is one of the professions that you have to take a lot of decisions like per second, because when students are like I don't know, can I go to the restroom, or can you do this and that and that, it's just um, you have so many different people in your classroom, and to manage that and adapt to them as them to you, it's just stressful normally. But this has been, and we had talked about it, just a little bit better in that area for him. Yeah.
Okay. And how do you think this pandemic will affect student learning and testing?
Oh, well, student learning, I want to say that for the better. I mean, they are learning to adapt to, and kids normally are easily adapt to new situations. And um, so I think they definitely are learning to learn by themselves. I mean, they have to if they want to. If they want to like pass their classes and actually learn, they have to put a lot of effort in it. They have to force themselves to pay attention, even without the distractions they might have around them in their own room, when I don't know, they want to go back to sleep or play games or do whatever they want. Since they can do it now, it's up to them to take the responsible decision to, okay, if I want to learn, I need to pay attention and I need to do this and that. So it's definitely an opportunity for them to learn by themselves. Secondly, the testing, well, that's definitely changing to, definitely adapting to maybe going uh, virtual, definitely, instead of paper pencil. um, I believe, I mean, I'm not sure, but I believe that that's how my testing might change.
Okay. We've reached the final questions. These are more geared towards like your community and our country. Are you satisfied with the local response to COVID-19 in Mercedes and Hidalgo County?
Mm, yes, I am satisfied.
Are you satisfied with the state response to COVID-19 led by Governor Abbott?
Can you repeat that one, please?
Yes. Are you satisfied with the state response to COVID-19 led by Governor Abbott?
Mm, somewhat.
Okay. Would you like to go more in detail on that, or?
Well, the only thing I can think about that I'm like, I cannot say I'm completely satisfied, is just that I felt like opening bars and restaurants was a little bit too fast for my own opinion. I mean, in my own opinion. That's the only thing that I was like, when I heard about it, I was like, oh, I feel like it's too soon. I mean, a lot of people that don't take it seriously is going to jump on that train, and for me, it's like,
Yeah.
even if I'm not going, it's just the fact that other people are going to just not take it as seriously.
Are you satisfied with the national response to COVID-19 led by President Trump and his administration?
Not really. Yeah, no. Like, I think the masks should have been mandatory everywhere. since a long time ago, and enforced nationally. So we would have prevented, I don't know, a lot of people from getting sick.
Mhm.
So stuff like that, yeah.
Okay. If you had the power to respond to COVID-19, what would you do differently, if anything?
Well, definitely enforcing the precautions that everyone could have taken. Enforcing them, like, I don't know what the term is, like legally, like, with like everyone wearing mask, everyone staying home, and I mean those. I guess the curfew they work for that, but maybe for a little bit longer. Like I think that's what I would have done differently.
This is a special year in our national democracy because it's a presidential voting year. Did you vote? And if so, did you notice or do anything different because of COVID-19 pandemic?
I did vote, and anything different? Well, yeah, like the drive-through voting, and also what I did differently, I went to vote early during like the first day that they started early voting, just to prevent from like there being a lot of people on actual voting day. So I guess that's what I did differently, and something I noticed. Well, just the precautions that had to be taken. I guess that's what I would have noticed that was different.
Is there anything else you would like to share with me about your experiences with COVID-19 that I have not asked about?
No, wedding, work. that was it, I think. Yeah.
Well, that was the final question. Once again, I'd like to thank you for your time and for sharing your experiences and for contributing to preserve the stories of Mexican Americans and the Latino community. So I'll let you get to what you need to do and continue your afternoon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, Beth.
Bye.